Mm.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show tonight. We are talking about going within to find renewal and revitalization. I'm Dr. Asatar Bear, my co-teacher here, Leah Schaefer.
Welcome, everyone.
So it just seemed to us that this is the time of year that it is. The days are getting shorter. It's colder. I mean, if you're in the Western Hemisphere, or in the Northern Hemisphere, other parts of the world, maybe not. But this is a time,
Right.
at least in this part of the world, where you're going within, and that's a kind of natural rhythm of the year. So, of course, we want to be aware of natural rhythms, and we don't want to. Sometimes we go against them, right? But it's great if we can go with the energy that is already happening, or the rhythm that's already happening. Um,
Yeah.
and oh, I see our friend Shakar is here. Good to see you. Uh, asked my friend Kim to come. All right, yeah, good to see you
Thank
all.
you so much for being here. Yeah, so it's the solstice, the winter solstice is in 2 days. It's going to be on Thursday, the 21st, and that's the shortest day of the year. But it's also the next 3 days after that. It looks like the sun, because something, I don't understand it fully, but something shifts where it looks like the sun is in the same spot for several days, like where it rises and sets. It doesn't look like it moves because there's like a certain like shifting that happens um, with our orientation toward the sun. And so it's a time of rebirth of light, and it's a time of rebirth all around.
Yeah.
But coming into this darkest days, coming into this darkest season, I find that I thrive on it because of my personality. Um, I am like totally this kind of girl, but in general though, it stirs in a way. There's something about the stillness and something about the silence and the depth outside of the consumerism and the parties. But like outside of that though, there's something about this season in general where it can really, something about that darkness can stir a lot deep inside of us. And it's definitely a time of
Mhm.
introspection and a time of like looking at being with what is, but also there's like almost this turning point of what are the seeds that we want to plant right now.
Yeah, that's a great point. And also since you mentioned sort of the holiday, consumerism, right? It's like so many aspects of our culture are about fighting the natural rhythms,
Right.
because
Right.
I mean, talk about the opposite of introspection and, going within and whatever. It's being super busy and having, tons of errands to run and being,
Yeah.
out, clicking items off the list. And,
Yeah.
it's always like there's always pros and cons to everything, right? Like it's amazing that we as human beings have the kind of power that we have, right? We can ignore natural rhythms to some extent, right? I mean, like, and that's a function of our of the power that we have as a species. But the question becomes more like one of discernment, like is that a good idea to do? And I think basically it's like it's not a good idea to do it all the time, like sometimes we have to do it, okay, but like we want to be aware, right? We want to be
Do what, Asatar? Sometimes we
to
have to do
to
what?
break a natural rhythm, you know,
To break a natural
to
rhythm.
break a natural rhythm,
Yeah.
because there are natural rhythms, and
Hmm.
we don't, like I said, we don't have to obey them, but they're having an influence on us nonetheless. And
Yeah.
it's good to go with that if we can, or maybe we can go with it to some extent. Like
Yeah. And
we're not suggesting no one leave their house like during this time or something, right? Like,
and I also think it's all about orientation of like our intentions behind this, because like in a way in the darkest times we find where the light still is, right?
yeah,
And so there's a lot of this celebration of light. There's celebration of light in many cultures at this time of year.
right,
um and it's, to me, it's pointing to what's the light that's always there. And one of the lights that's always there is the closeness that we can have with our closest of kin. And there's something so beautiful about that,
Mm.
unless we distort it to the point of making it not about that at all, you know what I mean?
Right.
About, the materialism things, but coming together to celebrate life even in the darkest of times. And I do feel like, we each go through our own seasons internally within our own lives. Sometimes that's like over a few years, sometimes we're in a dark season for a few years, sometimes we're in a spring for a few years, right?
Right.
But also within humanity. And I find that within humanity, I do feel like we're in a very dark season.
Yeah.
And there's this like question of like, what is the light that's always there, even right now? Like, how can we have hope? How can we have hope that there's still potential for rebirth of all the devastation that we see around the world? And
Yeah.
and that's where I'm finding like the inspiration of this meditation in particular is like, what's the light that never goes out, even in the darkest of times?
Yeah. Well said. We have a new friend here joined us. Nice to
Hi,
see you.
Rafi.
It's interesting that consumerism creates hustle and bustle at a time of year when we should be in tune with the Earth's winter moods and reflect. Yeah.
Right, just bury under your covers and
Right.
and with your blankets and your hot tea or your hot beverage, whatever it's gonna be. And I'm totally for that, like, I love it. I love it, but it is, like, one of those things like, "Oh, make sure you get all the shop gifts ready," and I love giving gifts. I'm not trying to be a bah humbug by any means, but I wanna give people permission also, like, this is the time to go inward. This is the time to
Yeah.
bury the seeds, bury yourself, under the ground and let yourself just be still.
And also, I think there's something in there of like when, when something is a natural rhythm, it's good to go with it as much as you can. Maybe you're not going to fully go with it, but like, if it's a time of introspection, do some introspection, right? Like,
Yeah.
not like your whole life has to shut down, but like, if you don't do it, there's going to be something that's going to feel missing,
Yes.
Um, but just like, we could
Yes.
stay up all night, right? I mean, however, there's a cost to that, right? Like, you know,
Yeah.
we- so we be aware of it, right?
Yeah.
Go with it
Yeah.
if we can. So that's
Yeah.
what this session is meant to be for. And also, like as people who love meditation and teach meditation, we're definitely into the value of going within. That's a kind of
Oh,
an
yeah.
evergreen topic for us. So.
I love it. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Asatar has this story of when he was a professor, and you should tell the story about some kids that didn't like him in particular, like some of his
All
students didn't really
right.
like him. And what did they say, Asatar?
Well, it was like this. So it was a student who liked me and one who didn't, right? And the one who was like kind of a critic was like, it's like, oh, Dr. Bear's, he's not that cool. He's a nerd. He probably like sits at home alone and, by himself, And this other student comes in to defend me and says, well, actually, he's a meditation teacher, And I just thought that was funny because it's like if you're a meditation teacher, you're into meditation. And what is meditation? It's sitting alone by yourself at home. I mean, like that, it's bringing that to an art form, I mean,
And each of you are sitting alone tonight, but you're not alone, you're with us. This is like the introverts unite, like, in this class. That's what we do. Introverts
exactly.
unite in your own home together.
Alone, but yeah, together.
Alone. Oh, good. Oh, it's just too funny.
I mean, of course, you
Um,
can be an extrovert and still be in a meditation, right? It's just,
oh, yeah.
it's obviously a time where you're alone and reflecting. And, I think that it's kind of saying like, there is power in that, Um,
Oh, yeah,
there's
definitely.
power in that. So you know yourself, right? You learn about yourself, you learn about your energy. you learn how to work with that energy.
Yeah.
So,
Well, let's do this now
all
that we've
right.
let everybody hyped it up. Um, okay, you introverts. Maybe there's a few extroverts with that. I'm just kidding. So go ahead, find your meditation posture. If you want to lay down, you can, especially seeing as it's winter time. Give you that option. It's more of a healing experience if you lay down, but otherwise, either sit in a comfortable chair or a meditation cushion, and you want to have your knees lower than your hips. All right, so that you can breathe deep, full breath. And then if you can have a little bit of a pelvic tilt forward, it's going to let your spine stack on itself more easily. And that's going to be one of the keys for you to be able to sit for long periods of time as you master your practice. It's this idea of stacking your bones so that your muscles can relax. Just take your time and set yourself up. And then deepen your breathing. Sitar, can you mute your until this is over? There's just a lot of background little ticks and things. Thank you. So let's take some time with the silence. I want you to start to deepen your breath. This is something we warm up because it is a muscle that we're working, the diaphragm muscle. And we have patterns, just like we have patterns of pressing our shoulders forward when we sit down. You know, we have to change our patterns. We have, in order to have more of an upright position, having our shoulders more back. And at the same time, we have breathing patterns. Our breath responds to every thought we have. You start to open your breath, and that'll start to open up your patterns. Breathing more and more deeply, and exhaling all of your breath out. Maybe tuck your chin as you start to go deeper and deeper into your heart. Going underneath the surface into the quiet, into the stillness of your own innermost heart. Try to find the quietest part of your heart. And you notice that there's all this movement still. There's the movement of your full breathing in deep into the depths of your abdomen. Your complete exhalation, completing your exhale by squeezing your abdomen in and really getting all the breath out. And there's even your heartbeat. Life is always moving, life is always in movement. But I want to invite you to dive deeper into the quietest place of your heart, the place where there is the most atmosphere, there's the most presence. The presence is loud with its silence. And there's no real reason to be afraid of that place because your heart's not going to show you anything you're not ready for. And your heart has all its own medicine. We don't want to dissociate from our hearts. We want to go deeper into them and make them our best friend and our guiding light. Going deeper and deeper into the part of your heart that is full with silence, that is loud with silence and presence of your true self. Using each breath to dig deeper. Bowing your head so you can go deeper still. And in this darkness, in this stillness, can you have hope for a rebirth of some form? Maybe it's within some small patterns, or maybe it's something bigger, an awakening to something that you've wanted to bring into form for a long time, or a remembrance that you want to reestablish. Can you have the faith in this stillness and in this dark night, this long dark night? Can you have the faith in your own capacity to embody the light that is reflected in your heart? To embody the potential that you know is within you. It doesn't matter how many times we fail. What matters is that we keep going, and in order to keep going, we have to connect to that which is the truest light within, which is the truest part of ourselves. We have to have enough faith in ourselves that we actually try to connect to that part of ourselves, that we think it's possible, even during the darkness. So you're looking for that right now in your heart, even though you're looking into stillness, even though you're looking into silence. And in a way, you're looking into darkness as you look into the deepest subconscious self. And there's this hope in that looking, there's this hope in that seeking, that you'll find your true self, your connection to your true self. And then breathe with it. As soon as you get the smallest spark or the smallest feeling of your own internal light, your own internal connection to the truth, to the divine light, the divine presence. Breathe with that and make it bigger. This part of you is underneath your heartbeat. It's deeper than your heartbeat. We're going to get to our heartbeat in a minute, but this part of you is deeper than that. Then I want you to think for a moment more from your heart than your mind, to feel more in your heart. You feel your heart's wish for this next year for yourself. I don't want you to make a list and check it off. I want you to feel in your heart's wish of being alive, of being yourself in this next year. And what does that mean to you? What would that look like in full bloom for you? But it's not in full bloom yet. It's not in full bloom. It's just a seed. And can you imagine this great tree growing from such a small seed? Or even a forest growing from one seed? It's hard to imagine. It's hard to fathom. But that's the seed I want you to plant in the deepest, most still part of your heart, the part of your heart that's full of presence. Plant the seed of what you want to come or become. Plant it into the deepest part of your heart and breathe with that seed in this depth, in this stillness, in this stage of not knowing, in this stage of not having become yet, the stage before the becoming, the stage of just only latent potential, just and let it really sink into your heart. Let it really be so securely buried in the depth of your heart that it starts to feel safe, this seed you're planting. We're going to have to get the right conditions for this part of ourselves to grow over the next year. And one of the ways that we're going to water it right now is by using our heartbeat and placing a word on your heartbeat that helps to create an echo of this life that you're going to be culminating and cultivating over the next year, or maybe it's more than that. It could be any word you want. It could be words like mercy. It could be words like I am. A double beat is helpful for a word for your heartbeat. It could be the name of a prophet. someone you know would help you along your way. But this is almost like to help you to water your seed. And so pick your word for tonight. You can change it when you need to. And then once you've chosen your word, maybe place your hand on your heart or find a pulse point on your wrist or on your neck. Or if you've been practicing for a while, find your heartbeat. And just start by feeling your heartbeat for your full breathing in and complete breathing out. And then when you're ready, place your word on your heartbeat like your heart is saying that word, helping your heart to cultivate this seed you've planted within yourself. Your heart is saying the word with every beat. It can almost feel like the sun is rising, like your heart starts to take on this life force, as if your heart starts to reflect the divine light, the divine star shining in the hearts of the illuminated souls. And then, like a drum, let your heartbeat guide the rhythm of your breath, breathing for 8 heartbeats in, 8 heartbeats out, but keep the word on your heartbeat. So don't count, just feel it musically. In this way, you're creating harmony between the movement of life and between the seed you've planted in your heart and the remembrance of who you really are, the echo of that remembrance in every heartbeat. Thank you. Go ahead and thank your heart and thank yourself for sitting. And then when you're ready, move your body and open up your eyes.
Nice meditation. Thank you, Liam.
Thank you.
What you said about your heart, this word that you choose, this reflecting on your heartbeat, and just really makes me think about the spiritual path, actually, and this, I mean, what we do here is we teach a very general meditation techniques, right? And of course, from working with a teacher, you're trying to always um, work on the qualities and the energy that is going to help your growth the most right now. The way that life is calling on you to grow, the way that you're longing to grow. And so we always want to tune our meditation practice to be, working more specifically for you, right? And that's the role of the teacher, to help you customize the practice. And just this, what an art form that is, knowing that from a student perspective, and also just from working with students, to take in someone's whole thing, like their whole story, right? What are they working on? And then to work with them, and to craft a practice that is designed to you know to grow in that way. And I don't know, this is just what I think of, right? That people should be aware of that, right? That like meditation has a general side, um, but where it really becomes powerful is this, like, first of all, it's powerful when you practice it every day, right? And secondly, it's powerful when it's really geared toward who you are and what you're working with.
Yeah, and every single person has a unique light, and every single person has a unique heart. And it's like the light of your soul shines through your heart as a lens, and then it shines through your own mind as a lens, and through your own body as a lens. And these are all lenses that the light of the divine light shines through you toward. And so you are going to be a completely unique expression of life. And that's why it's so important that you honor exactly who you are and where you want to grow toward.
Right, right. People have a kind of idea that, like, oh, you work with a teacher and you're going to be like just like your teacher, right? Like, it's the opposite, right? Your teacher helps you be more like you,
That's a good way of saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah, to become more yourself. And there is something about like going into like that state of nothingness too. Like we could have spent longer there, like, but
Yeah.
into like that nothingness, that nothing, like who am I anyway? I don't even know who I am, like this kind of like what am I? I'm just some creature on this weird planet, right? Like it's like it's there, they're like, there's these layers, and there's something about like this replanting of the seed. Does the seed know it's going to become the oak tree? Do you know what I mean?
Right, right.
And so anyway, there's a lot in the nothingness there's a lot that can happen in the darkness, of unveiling, toward what we're really going to become.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautifully said. Yeah.
Mm. Shall we meditate again, Asatar? Are you ready?
All right, let's do it. So
Okay. I went a little over, I didn't realize, so.
that's okay, because time is just a construct. When we go within, we find eternity. So take your upright meditation posture. Excuse me. And begin to work with the breath. So the method that we teach, however, the meditation comes out of Sufism. Sufism is the way of the heart. And so we seek to meditate in a particular way. We're working with the breath and we're working with optimizing the breath. And that means to make the breath deep, slow, rhythmic, heart-centered, and full. And we can work on these different aspects in order. We start by making the breath deep, and that means to allow the belly to expand, to blow up like a big balloon as we breathe in. And as we breathe out, to allow the belly to contract and move the belly button toward the spine. Breathing in and out through the belly. And we notice that this already has the power to take us within, to take us deep. Because this way of breathing feels deeper in your body. It's lower in your body. The movement is lower. And of course, it's associated with your parasympathetic nervous system. A whole set of different reactions your nervous system goes through to relax, slowing your heart rate, lowering your blood pressure, releasing different stress-fighting hormones and compounds in your body. So by doing this consciously, we assist in the process of allowing our nervous system to relax. And yet we're doing it in the context of very upright posture. This is different from how we normally are physically. Normally when our back is straight and we're upright, we're not really going to be breathing deeply. We're going to be breathing in our chest because our nervous system is going to be active. It's the opposite side of the nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is going to be active. So we're doing something very, very unique physiologically here. We are going within, closing the eyes, being still, breathing deeply, and yet our posture and bearing is very energetic. It's outward. Think of the times when you are very upright. Those are times of action. When you are not in action right now, you are being still. And so that energy circulates within you. You move within with the energy. And then it becomes a question, what do you do with the energy? How do you work with the energy? How is that energy manifesting? How is it flowing? Now you can see we flow very easily to the next step here, which is to make the breath slow. The breath can be deep and yet rapid. Babies often breathe this way. Babies have a very rapid breath. But they tend to breathe in their belly, especially if they're sleeping. So now combine the deep breathing with slow breathing. And of course, you slow your breathing by using more of your abdominal muscles. Breathing in more and breathing out more. And of course, the secret is that if you breathe out more, you have more you can breathe in. Now, we would also like to make the breath rhythmic, meaning the same length, inhalation and exhalation. And the reason for this is that the breath is energy. And you want your breath to be balanced for the same reason that you want your energy to be balanced. You want your energetic flows to be balanced. The energy that flows into your body, mind, heart, and soul needs to be balanced by the energy that radiates outward. We long to express ourselves. We long to spend our energy. We long to act, to create, to speak, to express. And yet we must revitalize, we must replenish, we must receive. And it is very common unconsciously that we begin to breathe in a way that is not balanced. So that the inhalation or the exhalation is longer, and then that makes the other side necessarily must be more intense. Because there's a single volume that we're working with. So we want to smooth out the breath, make the breath rhythmic. And at the same time, we want to make the breath heart-centered. The way of the heart is to recognize that the heart is the center. Your heart is the center of your energetic system. Your heart is what holds your motivation, your priorities, what is sacred to you, your desires, the people that you love, your sense of who you are. All of this is centered on your heart. Hazrat Inayat Khan, the great Sufi master, says, the heart is its own medicine. The heart heals all its own wounds. So perhaps you relate to that idea that your heart has wounds. Maybe you're aware of pain in your heart. Maybe you're aware of wounded places. Maybe our culture fights against and struggles against and tries to distract us from going within because so many of us have those wounded places. And when we get quiet, when we get still, that pain comes up into our awareness. We start to feel it. And we would like to distract ourselves from that. We would like to numb ourselves from that. We would like to avoid that. And we have various ways of doing that. There are so many, but they become our addictions. Oh, you have the courage to do this practice. I salute you. Because when you breathe and focus on your heart, you will go into that place. You will feel all that your heart contains. There will be some pain there. There will be joy there. There will be inspiration there as well. So we work on making the breath rhythmic and heart-centered at the same time by feeling the beats of the heart and attuning them so that we have the same number of beats as we breathe in, as we breathe out. And you can use the number that is right for you, but if you work this practice over time, I would like you to get to 8 beats inhalation and 8 beats on the exhalation. You might not be able to do that right away, and if so, that's fine. You might not be able to feel your heartbeat right away. About half of the people that I've taught this to cannot. And that's okay, as I say, wherever you are, wherever you begin, that is a good place to start. What I know is that every single one of my students who has stuck with this has felt their heartbeat. It may take some time, or perhaps you are one of the ones who can do it right away. Now the final piece in this breathing technique is to make the breath full. Deep, slow, rhythmic, heart-centered, and full. And to make the breath full means that you really squeeze your abdominal muscles as you exhale. Squeeze out all of the breath. And then as you inhale, you first open the belly. Allow your belly to blow up like a balloon. And then continue the breath so that the sides of your ribs expand and the breath goes all the way up to your collarbones, filling your chest as well. And then as you breathe out, you reverse the process and you empty the breath from your chest and then squeeze the abdominal muscles. Squeeze your belly button toward your spine. The more you breathe out, the more you can then breathe in. And it's very important that you keep your breath slow as you do this. Your body can only absorb so much breath per second. You're making your breath much bigger and much more powerful than before. And it must therefore be slower so that your body has time to absorb all that the breath contains. The physical part, that is the proper mix of oxygen and carbon dioxide that is produced in your blood. And the mental and spiritual aspects, the breath, the emotional component of the breath, where all of these things are present. Now I'm giving you a great challenge by asking you to breathe in this manner. It's almost like asking you to completely change the way that you walk or change which hand you use to write. It's about that difficult to master. It will take about that amount of practice. Now, why would I give you something that's so difficult to do? I mean, there are kinds of meditation that are so much easier, where the instructions are so much shorter. And the answer is that because this is the most powerful kind of meditation that I have ever experienced in a lifetime of trying different kinds of meditation. If you get this breathing down, you will go further in 10 minutes than you might have otherwise been able to go in 2 hours. Now focus your breath on the inner dimension of your heart. That is all that your heart contains. And so to do this, we envision that we are going down deep within our hearts. We're going inside our hearts. We're dwelling inside that space. So as you breathe out, feel that you are descending into your heart so that your sense of yourself, which is normally right behind our eyes, so that that sense of yourself begins to shift, that you feel like you are within your chest, that your heart is like a room that you're inside of right now. And as you breathe in your heart, that is you. That is the space that you are in. You are focusing on your heart, going within your heart so much that that feels like you. You begin to feel, I am my heart, or simply, I am heart. And as you breathe, allow your heart to take in all the energy that you need to heal, to revitalize, to renew, to reinvigorate, to plant the seeds that you wish to see grow in the coming year. To become the great being that you really are. And when you're ready, you can come out of the meditation and begin to move it. Return to the space around you. Become aware of what might have changed for you.
Mm. Thank you so much, Asata.
Mm.
Mm.
Well, it looks like we have some comments here. Uh, from Oleg Shuliak.
Oh, like,
Thank you for joining us.
mm,
Greetings from a small community of Marxists from Kazakhstan. All
cool.
right. Welcome. We recently translated your interview with Patrick Bet David for our viewers and received a lot of grateful feedback. Oh,
That's
thank you.
cool.
I'm glad that was helpful. That was a fun interview.
Welcome.
Thank you for your principled position for conveying the historical truth. This is referring to
Mm.
my big hit on YouTube, which is this interview I did, which is all about Soviet development and Stalin and Mao in particular. Um, I'm glad you guys enjoyed that, and that's been translated now into Kazakh. It's amazing how limited your interlocutors in judgment and cannot and does not want to go beyond the boundaries of primitive propagandist anti-Soviet stereotypes. There's an awful lot of that, for sure. Um, I see you have a kind of lengthy comment here. Thank you so much for writing in, um, and I hope you are able to get something from the meditation as well. So um, let's continue this conversation on Twitter, and or maybe by email or something.
Mm.
Thank you so much for joining us. Um, so we will be back next week. Next
Mm.
week is our class is the day after Christmas. Um,
Is
so
it? Okay. Yeah. So everybody have a wonderful solstice holiday and just be easy on yourself. Remember, you are the gatekeeper of your own time for the most part. So feel welcome to take your time of introspection and rest as much as you like, or as
absolutely.
much as what's possible for you.
Thank you so much to
Mm.
everyone for joining us, and we will be back next week. So until then,
And I wanna end with a poem. I think I might have said this last week too, but it's a poem by Hazrat Inayat Khan, and it says, "Be fool not, O night, the morn will break. Beware, O darkness, the sun will shine. Be not vain, O mist, it will once more be clear. In my sorrow, forget not, once again joy will arise." Thank you, everyone.
lovely. All
Mm.
right, everyone, have a good night.
Mm.